Welcome into Texans Today. I'm your host, Jeremy Chuggs, and today we're going to be breaking down the latest free agency and trade rumors after week one of NFL free agency. Yes, trade rumors around the Houston Texans. I'll get into the why around that in just a moment, but I have a quick question for all you folks at home. Been commenting back and forth with some of y'all on social media and on some of our videos here on Texans Today, and I think it's a little bit split of what is the biggest need now for the Texans after week one of NFL free agency. I say it's still the cornerback position. Some of y'all might say defensive tackle. Some people might go linebacker, offensive line, wide receiver. I don't know. What say you, though? What is the Texans' biggest need after week one of NFL free agency? Get down in the comments section. Defend your take. Go down there and let me know why you think what you're thinking right now of what is the biggest need for the Houston Texans. Now, wide receiver might not be the biggest need for the Texans, but they're definitely swinging, and this one was a miss for Keenan Allen. Texans reportedly interested in Keenan Allen before he was traded to the Bears for a fourth-round pick. He's in the last year of his contract, so he is going to need a contract extension from the Bears or from whatever team was going to trade for him. But reports are the Texans were going to offer a 2025 third-round pick and a pick swap in this year's draft for Keenan Allen. The Chargers, instead of trading to the Texans in the same conference in the AFC, decide, you know what, we're just going to trade him to the Bears, get him out of the conference, and get a fourth-round pick in this year's draft. And this would have been a huge get for the Houston Texans if they were able to get Keenan Allen, a legit wide receiver one in the NFL, arguably his best season to date last year, and he still missed 4 games. In 13 games played, he had 108 receptions, over 1,200 yards, 11.5 yards per reception, and 7 touchdowns. Keenan Allen is a guy who you can put on the outside, and he is a matchup nightmare against opposing defenses. But this report showed me one thing. Texans are still heavily interested in getting another wide receiver weapon for C.J. Stroud, another wide receiver one for C.J. Stroud, not just bargain bin shopping, not looking for, another depth piece at wide receiver. They want another legit weapon at wide receiver. And they've already been, rumored to be in a couple other trades. So having the report that they were interested in the Keenan Allen trade, that really brought up this question to me. Could they go after another top receiver in the trade market? We know Tee Higgins was, granted permission by the Cincinnati Bengals after franchise tagging him to look for a trade. Could the Texans be interested in Tee Higgins? There are reports, there are rumors that the Texans and Bengals have had some communications. I don't know to what extent, but the Texans definitely are somewhat interested in Tee Higgins. Another guy, which is on the trade market, Stefon Diggs, for the past 2 off seasons, has really shown some disinterest in the Buffalo Bills, kind of wishy-washy. Does he want to stay? Does he want to go explore his other options with other teams? Stefon Diggs could be another interesting trade target, another over 1,000-yard year for Stefon Diggs, another wide receiver one. And I'll keep up bringing up this name, even though I don't know how likely it is, but I did have a source close to the Texans tell me if A.J. Brown does become available, because we know that Philadelphia Eagles, they love to wheel and deal. They love to, see what offers are out there. If A.J. Brown is available, I was told that the Texans would be one of the front runners to land A.J. Brown in a trade. Now, I'm not saying that the Eagles are going to trade A.J. Brown, but they did just bring in Saquon Barkley. He's getting paid a lot of money at the running back position. They have Devontae Smith, another guy who's ascending, could be a legit top wide receiver one in this league. Could A.J. Brown be expendable for the Eagles? That is yet to be seen. But if he is, I do see the Texans being one of the big teams to be interested in Brown's services. Now, if you had to choose between these 3 guys right here, Tee Higgins, A.J. Brown, Stefon Diggs, for the Texans to trade for this offseason, who would it be? Type TH for Tee Higgins, AB for A.J. Brown, or SD for Stefon Diggs. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video, so it's going to be the very top comment on there. I want to hear from you folks at home. If you had to trade for one of these guys, who would it be? Personally, I would say Diggs, because I think he would cost less in a trade rather than Tee Higgins, he's a little bit younger. A.J. Brown, I think, is maybe a bigger name. I think the Eagles might ask for a little bit more than what the Bills might ask for Stefon Diggs. A little bit older. I still think Diggs can get it done. I still think Diggs has another 3-4 seasons left where he is at, toward the end of his prime, I would say. Still putting up over 1,000-yard receiving yard seasons for the Texans if they were to trade for Diggs. That's why he would be my number one guy, just because I think the cost, it would be beneficial for the Texans to get a guy like Stefon Diggs. You already have Nico Collins, who they've already mentioned having him for an extension. If you could get a guy like Stefon Diggs, who's on the back half of his career, but still somewhat in his prime, I think that would be a good get for the Houston Texans. Now, coming up in just a moment, the top free agents left in NFL free agency who I think the Texans could be interested in. I'll go down the list of all the top guys that I have out there for the Houston Texans in just a moment. But first, got to show some love to today's sponsor, and that is Fanatics. Check out Fanatics today. Go to chatsports.com/Texans hat, our special link to get you some dope hats on sale right now. You can get this Houston Texans established in 2002 hat. Also, love this next hat right here. Also, I'm a big shop for the winter guy in the spring because you're going to get them on sale. You can get Texans beanies on sale right now when you use our link, chatsports.com/Texans hat. That is going to be in the comment section and description of today's video. Shout out to Fanatics for helping us out here on the channel. Go check them out. Go check out all the awesome deals that they have over there with our special link. Now, maybe they didn't want the old bull in Keenan Allen, but maybe they want the young calf in Mike Williams. Another free agent that is available. He was released by the Chargers, a cap casualty. The Texans are going to trade for one of those top receivers. I think Mike Williams could be a viable option. Now, he is meeting with several other teams, and the Texans weren't named as a top target for Mike Williams. But if they are interested in a top wide receiving target, Mike Williams, a free agent, could be an interesting match there. I just had to mention his name because the Texans are obviously still looking for wide receiver help. Now, going on to some other places. I know we talked earlier, what is the Texans' top need? For me, I still think it's corner, even though they have Jeff Okudah. So any of these guys, I think, could come in and be a good starting option for the Texans, or at least challenge Okudah in, Texans preseason. Xavier Howard, released from the Miami Dolphins this past season, had 45 tackles, 1 interception, 12 pass breakups. He could be an interesting option. Already linked with the Texans as soon as he was released by the Miami Dolphins. Interested to see how much he gets paid, with Kendall Fuller getting paid by the Miami Dolphins. I believe it was 2 years, $16.5 million. Interesting to see what Xavier Howard gets on the open market. Same with Adoree Jackson, formerly of the New York Giants, also formerly of the Tennessee Titans. 63 tackles, 1 interception, 8 pass breakups this past season. Adoree Jackson could be an interesting name. Still a guy who's, I would say, still a little bit younger, but could slot in for this Texans team, and also a good special teams player as well. The Texans could obviously still run it back with Steven Nelson, 4 interceptions, 12 pass breakups this past year. Not a bad option if the Texans just want to bring him back on a team-friendly deal. Don't know what the level of, security is between Steven Nelson and Nick Caserio. I know they kind of clashed a little bit last off-season, but I believe all that's behind him. Could be another option for the Texans and Steven Nelson. And the last one I'm going to mention for the cornerback spot is Stephon Gilmore. Had to step in and be the Cowboys CB1 last year, and I don't think he did necessarily a bad job. I think the Texans were to sign Stephon Gilmore. He comes in as the CB2, Stingley as the CB1, and I think you have a really good 1-2 option there. Stephon Gilmore still out on the open market. But talking all these corners, obviously the Texans already signed Jeff Okudah earlier in NFL free agency. What is your confidence level in Jeff Okudah? Because I've seen it on either end of the spectrum. I've seen people saying, Okudah is washed. He sucks. He's a bust. Why did the Texans even sign him? And I've seen some people saying, what a great signing. What a low-key, home run signing by Nick Caserio and D'Amico Ryans. If you think it's awful, type 1. If you think 10, he's going to be a CB1 in the league, go ahead and type 10. What's your confidence level in Jeff Okudah being a starting cornerback for the Houston Texans? Next up on some top NFL free agents left for the Houston Texans. What about Justin Simmons? Another like a rangy safety released by the Denver Broncos. A all-pro his past 2-3 seasons. Justin Simmons would be an amazing addition to the back end of the Texans secondary. Like I said on previous shows, I like Jalen Petrie, I like Jimmy Ward, but they're more of like physical safeties, in the box safeties, strong safeties. Give me Justin Simmons or a guy maybe like Julian Blackmon to play on the backside and be that guy who can be a center fielder, read the quarterback's eyes, and maybe get some interceptions on the back end. I really like Justin Simmons, and I also like Julian Blackmon from the Indianapolis Colts. Had a good year this past year, 88 tackles, 4 interceptions, 8 pass breakups. I'm interested on what both these guys get in the open market as well, because Justin Simmons, obviously a great safety. Julian Blackmon has played well for the Indianapolis Colts, a young guy out of Utah. Could the Texans possibly poach some talent from the Indianapolis Colts and sign Julian Blackmon? That would be an interesting move in my book. Another guy going to another position, Isaiah Simmons, linebacker, 50 tackles, 1 interception, 3 pass breakups. I know it says Arizona Cardinals right there, but he was actually traded to the New York Giants at the end of last year. Plays well. I believe he's better in coverage than he is a actual tackling, like sideline-to-sideline linebacker. But Isaiah Simmons could be an intriguing option. I know D'Amico Ryans likes what he has in Christian Harris. He also signed Aziz Al-Shire in NFL free agency. So I think the Texans like where they're at the linebacker spot. But they're looking to add some depth. Isaiah Simmons could be another option. And defensive tackle, it's kind of been pillaged throughout NFL free agency. I think the Texans really swung and missed on getting Eric Armstead. They did get Denico Autry. I like Foley Fatukasi as 2 decent defensive tackle free agent options, but they're looking to add another guy. I know Calais Campbell could be ring chasing. He's getting up there in age, only has a couple of years left in him, but if you're looking for a good option on the interior, Calais Campbell could be a good cheap option for the Texans. Somebody who's been there, done that, has a lot of experience, a lot of skins on the wall, and I think Calais Campbell could come in right away and be a really good rotational defensive tackle for this team. Now, that's all I have for you on today's show. If any news happens, if any breaking news happens, we'll break it down here on the channel. Also, follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs for the dankest memes on the internet, latest around the Houston Texans and around the NFL, NBA, and more. Go give me a follow at Jeremy Chuggs. And as always, go down and hit that sub button for daily Texans news and rumors content. We are the fastest growing Texans channel on YouTube, so don't miss out. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Might as well hit that sub button for free daily Texans videos all year long.